everyone, it's Jack and Sam from Cultaholic.com here in front of the SSE Arena Wembley in London after a really bloody good wrestling show. Really
amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah. It honestly was one of the strongest shows of 2018. I think we've seen
wrestling shows I've ever attended.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah, same.
Just hands down.
It was wonderful. It was really good stuff. We're going to go and recap every match, match by match, and give it a grade. Maybe we'll agree.
First time ever. It's a two-man booth on Graded.
Maybe we'll agree. Maybe we'll disagree.
We're probably going to agree, but let's maybe disagree.
So without any further ado, this is Chapter 76, Progress Chapter 76, Hello Wembley, Graded. Just before we begin, of course, I want to point out as well that this video is full of spoilers. So if you want to watch the show when it goes out on demand in a few days' time, then yeah, just be careful, be really careful. But yeah, let's crack on. So the first thing we have to talk about is the pre-show Battle Royal, which I thought was a really fun opener.
Yeah, it just seemed like proper high-paced.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't be happier with the outcome of the Final Four. The Final Four were just perfect, but
yes,
getting to that point was just like... It's one of the easily like one of the better Battle Royals I've seen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it never really... There wasn't like a lot of rest holds. There wasn't really a lot of like corner, like waiting and like just hanging around. It just seemed to just start like at 100 miles an hour and keep going.
Yeah, there was a lot of action. There were a lot of pre-planned spots, which always works the best in Battle Royals, I think. We're boiled down to a final two of Spike Trevay and Chuck Mambo, and you were really rooting for Chuck Mambo, Sam. Bloody hell!
Yes, I was, yeah. Once our mate had gone.
Our mate
Chris Ridgway, yeah, big friends. Once Chris Ridgway had gone, that was it. I wanted Chuck Mambo. He's a mainstay of the UK indie scene. He deserves it.
Yeah,
you know, he won the World Cup, but yeah, like I was really happy for him.
Yeah, he did get the win, flipping Spike Trevay out of the ring with his legs, with his leggies. I'm going to give this a B+. I think nice, fast-paced opening of the show.
I'd argue for an A, you know.
Okay,
yeah.
An A, or an A- or an A.
An A minus. Yeah. Okay, let's go for an A. Let's settle in the middle on an A- if you fancy it.
All right.
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
I just think that Final Four, it just felt like a match in itself.
Yeah,
like getting to that point was amazing, but the Final Four felt like a proper match.
Yes. Next up, we had the opener of the main show: Mark Haskins versus Matt Riddle. This was MMA style. It was hard hitting. There were submissions. There were technical exchanges, and there was, in our opinion, a surprising result. But talking to a lot of people before the show, a lot of people correctly predicted, actually, that Matt Riddle would lose and that Mark Haskins would win the match. Sam, I know you've got a particular opinion about this match. I'll just throw my grade out first of all. I want to give it an A-, but what's your take on this?
Well, I thought the match was... I'll take that, thank you. I thought the match itself was just phenomenal.
Yes.
Like, there was no topping that. I think it was the best match it could have possibly been. But the thing I have a little bit of a problem with is MMA stars in wrestling, and it's that believability. I think this match managed to get to that point where you didn't just go, oh, he's a UFC guy, he can knock him out.
He should be
like it managed to ramp that really well and sort of play off that and then just properly drive it forward.
Yes.
But what did you give it?
A-.
A-. I'd give it... Yeah, I'd give it a B+.
A B+?
Yeah,
okay.
I just think... I don't know what it was. It just didn't feel like it completely made it to that A level for me.
Well, I compromised on the last one, so can you compromise on this one and give this a cheeky A-? Yes, lads. Next up, the Women's Championship match. Now, in terms of background and the build to this was one of, I guess, the least fleshed out matches on the show, but I thought it really impressed me. I thought it was fast paced, it was exciting. It was Millie, McKenzie and Toni Storm taking on Jinny for the Progress Women's Championship in triple threat action. It wasn't like it was one of the more sports entertaining matches. There was interference, there was a twist.
Yeah, the thing I found really interesting was that Jinny immediately went straight for Toni Storm. She just disregarded Millie McKenzie. It was like, it was just, you know, you're not going to do anything. And then Millie became a legitimate threat throughout the match.
Yes.
And just built and built and built. And as we were talking about in the predictions, it needs to get to that point soon where Millie's not just, you know, good for being young. She's just good.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to get to that point soon. But... yeah, I just think, while it was the most sort of sports entertaining with a bit of interference and you know, what happens afterwards, I just loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Have you got a grade in mind? I
think I'm going to go for an A.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
I was going to go for a B+.
Oh.
Jesus. But we can't give another A-. We're going to have to go in the middle and give it...
Let's give it... I'll settle for you again. Let's do B+.
B+ for this one. But I should point out that I really enjoyed the turn. For those who don't know what happened, Laura Di Matteo has turned heel and she's now back in Jinny's corner and helped her to retain the championship. Boo!
Boo this.
Boo! Before we move on to the next match, of course, then a new challenger was established as Jordynne Grace came out. She's phenomenal. She was one of the best, most impressive aspects of the All-In Battle Royal.
She was the standout from that battle
Yes, she
royal
was.
for me when she just deadlifted Brian Cage and then eliminated him. It was
Yes.
amazing. I'm
Yeah,
all about that.
yeah.
I'm excited to see where it's going to go.
Maybe she'll win the belt. I wouldn't be disappointed at all if she did.
No, she'd dominate as well if she had that belt.
Yeah. Next up, the Atlas Championship match between the champion Doug Williams and Trent Seven, the challenger. Of course, if Trent won, Doug would have to leave professional wrestling. What did you think of this match? It was a very old school style match with a modern flavour, I guess.
Yeah, it had it started off very sort of World of Sporty. It was very athletic, like a lot of the strong athletic reversals, roll throughs, things like that. It was just a breath of fresh air, I think,
Yes.
on the card because it was so unlike anything else. And as you said in what happened at, it was sort of a best of the British old school style.
I didn't say that, but it's a really good point.
Yeah, you essentially touched on that point.
Yeah.
But basically, it was this sort of best of old traditional British wrestling.
Yeah.
And then it sort of progressed as things went on. There you go. Progressed. Puns. But yeah, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I wouldn't say it was the strongest match on the card, but I don't know. It's definitely up there. But what do you think about it?
I honestly was going to give it an A. I really enjoyed it. The finish was very sudden, though. I thought there was going to be more of a Shawn Michaels moment with Doug Williams.
Yeah.
It was really abrupt. Basically, Trent Seven just hit a crossbody and that was it. And he pinned him. I think that was the desired effect. Yeah. But also, I found it a little bit jarring, but I think the pacing and the strength of the match throughout was enough for an A. What do you think?
I was going to give it a B.
Oh, okay.
Just a flat B.
Right.
So what do you think, Jack?
We're going to have to go for either a B plus or an A minus, Sam.
Let's go B plus.
Right.
B plus.
The B sharps.
B sharps.
Next up, it was the no DQ grudge match between Jimmy Havoc and Paul Robinson. Sam, I'm just going to ask, you're obviously a big fan of hardcore wrestling. Just going to ask you for your grade straight away.
It's an A plus. It's an A plus, and it's an A plus, and it's staying an A plus. The match ended with Jimmy Havoc putting 3 light tubes across 2 chairs that were opened up, and then placing Paul Robinson's head on it, and not just once, but twice, stamping his head through it into the smashed glass below. On top of that, Paul Robinson took a wealth of abuse, dealt out a wealth of abuse as well. It was a hell of a match from both competitors, fitting of the sort of death match stipulation and the feud itself. So it's an A plus for me.
Right.
Lots of glass and blood and... Oh, there was an iron board as well. And a door. There was a door.
There was a bloody door. Mine was... This sounds controversial. I was going to give it an A minus. Yeah. I thought... obviously, I'm not as big a fan of hardcore wrestling as you, but I think it has its place, especially in this sort of card where there's a lot of proper...
Jimmy said it in the build-up when he was talking to a newspaper. Jimmy said there is a correct place for like a really big death match type stipulation. It is to culminate a massive feud. Yeah. And this is exactly what that was.
Yeah.
So
it was. I have no comments with that. I just thought that compared to some of the other matches on the card, it wasn't quite my sort of thing, but I can appreciate why it was excellent. Of course, it was one of the best death matches I've ever seen. Yeah. But for me, it was an A minus. I just think it lacked a certain fluidity, but at the same time, it was still generally very, very good. So we're going to have to go in the middle, I think, and give it a straight A.
Straight A's.
Straight A's for Jimmy and Paul. Done, lads. Next up, it was the Thunderbastard tag team title match pitting various teams against one another in sort of staggered entry, gauntlet style action. This was, I think, probably one of the hardest to grade matches on the card because there were so many teams coming in and getting eliminated. It was quite confusing at times, but there were certain high points in the match for certain. And by the end of it, I thought it had really picked up and was starting to tell a really good story with Aussie Open, the baby faces, powering their way through the match. 198 got eliminated, and then it was down to just Aussie Open and the Grizzled Young Vets, classic heel babyface stuff. I think I'd want to give this an A minus, Sam. What would you give it?
Well, I agree with you that it was quite hectic. I don't think it was sort of all over the place, though. I wouldn't ever go as far as saying that. I think it felt a lot like, the big sort of Wrestle Kingdom 8-man open tags where it's just manic. Action, but like there were so many spots and it was so good. I think I'd just give it a straight A, to be honest. It was great, and obviously my boys won.
Yeah,
so they won.
Run them jewels fast.
Yeah, or a legally sound version of that song.
Next up, Pete Dunne versus Ilya Dragunov in straight singles action. This was insane. I really, really liked this match. I honestly thought it was one of the best matches I've seen this year. It was really good, which I've already given away the grade. I'm going to give it an A plus, Sam. I thought it was excellent. Yeah. I thought it was wonderful.
It made me want to get like more into WXW.
I thought you were gonna say it made me want to just stamp on someone's head, which is what Pete Dunne
That
did.
too, yeah. He just flat out kept stamping on Ilya's head. But just great. It's like it was just a proper fight. It was like a battle. Like it was just there was no give. Like it was just two guys absolutely throwing themselves at each other and just trying to completely incapacitate the other one in any way they could without weapons.
Even after the submission victory as well, Pete Dunne he'd won the match, but he still like stamped away at him a little bit. There was still a little fight after the bell, and I was like, oh, this is great. This is really good. So I give it A+. What are you going to give it?
I think I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. Match of the night. What are you doing? We're delirious.
Next up, the second sort of hardcore-based stipulation match of the night, the TLC match, and also, in a way, kind of a number one contenders match as well, because there was a contract for a title shot hanging above the ring. It was Eddie Dennis versus Mark Andrews, a match 1 year in the making. Now, this match was really good. It was really good, but at the same time, it was kind of one of the most unlucky matches on the card because of those tables.
Dastardly tables.
Those botchy tables. Basically, Mark Andrews is a very unfortunate man because Eddie Dennis repeatedly tried to put him through a table.
Very unfortunate, doesn't even cover it. His poor back.
It was nasty. It was nasty stuff. Basically, a lot of the time, Mark Andrews, he took a powerbomb into it and didn't break. He took a razor's edge into it, didn't break. And his back was nasty afterwards.
Yeah, the legs of the tables just gave out. And they were like beefy tables.
Yeah, they were.
Like the legs gave out before they even started to bend. It was horrible.
I don't know what to make this match because obviously the issues with the tables forced them to have a little bit of a rearrange, I think, and it didn't flow quite as smoothly as some of the other matches on the card, especially coming after that Pete Dunne Ilya Dragunov match.
Yeah, it had a very hard slot to fill. Now, usually in a show like this, or like with a large main event you've been building for a while, you would have a sort of a palate cleanser of a match here. Like it would be either short or just a completely different style. And I get that it was sort of a different style, but I don't know if it was the right decision to put a feud, like a year-long feud match in the second to last position. But then I think any match from the card tonight would have struggled in that position, no matter how good it was. So it's just a really hard one to call. I'm
going to go B+ because the finish was genuinely amazing. That pile driver the tombstone from the ladder through the table. But I'm going to go for a B+. I think bonus points for the feud itself and the build-up to it, bonus points for that amazing ending as well. I think it really helped save the match.
I can't do anything but agree with you on that one. Yeah, excellent.
And finally, the main event of the evening, Tyler Bate versus Volta, in a match that didn't feel long at the time, but looking back, it was quite a long match. It was
half hour.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
Bloody Nora. This was for the Progress World Championship, of course, and it was classic smaller underdog versus monstrous
Davey versus Goliath.
Davey versus G. Yes, this was, though, as I say, a classic David versus Goliath battle. Everyone was so impressed with Tyler Bates' strength. We all know he's strong, but Volta's a large man. And he was doing all of his spots. And he wasn't just like lifting him up and just doing them. He was building up to them. There was a lot of tension. It was really well paced. And then the times when Tyler Bate was kind of breaking through Volta's spells of dominance and was on the up, the crowd would come in unglued. It was amazing noise.
I've never seen a crowd at a wrestling event like that.
Yeah.
Like just so invested.
Yeah.
It was just unbelievable. Like to see that was just...
Yeah.
To feel the floor vibrating, like mental.
There was a risk, as I said, in what happened of it being a deflating ending because everyone wanted Tyler to win so badly, and then Volta won in kind of abrupt fashion, just scooped him up, dropped him on his head, 1, 2, 3, and everyone went, whoa, okay. But at the same time, I think it was good enough that didn't have to matter, and I honestly have to give this match also an A+.
I'd give it an A.
Okay.
So,
well, we can't.
How about we got to end it on a good note? How about we give it an A+?
I was going to say we can't give an A+ unless we're unanimous, so we have to give it an A.
We'll have to give it an A then.
We're not going to end on a high note at all. We're going to end on a sad note here in London. So that's it for Progress Graded, or Progress Chapter 76. Hello, Wembley Graded from the SSE Arena Wembley in London. What a show. Genuinely really good. I know a lot of people are going to go, Jack, your grades are so high because you're a Progress fan anyway, but I'd suggest you watch the show. Yeah. It was really, really good.
I'd never seen a Progress show before, really. I'd watched the occasional match. I didn't really follow Progress, but after this, I will be.
It was great.
I will be. That's it.
It was a very, very good show. And I believe, as I said earlier on, it should be out on demand within sort of a week or so.
I think it said, 5 to 7 days. Yes. So, yeah.
So that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Jack from cultaholic.com. This has been Sam. You can follow us respectively on Twitter at JackTheJobber and at LeicesterFind. Check out our Patreon as well if you want. Patreon.com/cultaholic. And never forget, obviously, if you haven't already, to hit that subscribe button and to join us.